Success doesn't care how smart you are. It doesn't reward potential. It rewards execution. The world isn't run by the most talented. It's run by the most relentless. You don't need more brilliance. You need more obsession. Every day, someone less qualified is beating you. Not because they're better, but because they refuse to stop. While you're overthinking, they're moving. While you're waiting for confidence, they're building momentum. That's the difference. That's the formula. Relentless action beats cautious brilliance every single time. Stop calculating your limitations. Start multiplying your effort. Success isn't about making perfect moves. It's about refusing to stay still. It's about showing up after the failure, after the silence, after the humiliation. That's what separates the winners from the watchers. So if you're still asking, am I good enough? You're not ready, because the ones who win stopped asking that question. They decided they'd outlast the doubt, outwork the noise, outbleed the comfort. They're not smarter, they're just relentless. You don't have to be the most educated. You don't have to have the most connections. You just have to be the last one standing. That's the real edge. Grit doesn't flinch, hunger doesn't negotiate, and purpose doesn't care how long it takes. It only cares that you don't quit. You see someone winning and assume they had it easy. What you don't see is the years of rejection, the nights they screamed into pillows, the mornings they got up while everyone else was still asleep. You want their results, but do you want their pain? Because that's the real price. The average mind waits for perfect conditions. The relentless mind creates them. It bends the world to its will, brick by painful brick. While most people are collecting reasons to pause, the relentless are stacking actions that make quitting impossible. You have to kill the lie that says you're not ready. Ready is a myth. It's a stall tactic. It's a fear wearing a mask. The people who changed the world, they weren't ready either. They just started. They figured it out mid-flight. That's how real momentum is born. You don't get to cheat the grind, not if you want results that last. Talent might get you in the room, but effort, pure, unapologetic, unreasonable effort, is what keeps you there. If you can't suffer for what you want, then you're not ready to lead it. Relentless isn't a mood. It's not a moment. It's an identity. It's waking up and deciding, I don't care how I feel, I'm doing it anyway. It's building when you're exhausted. It's showing up when no one's clapping. It's becoming immune to excuses. The world doesn't slow down for your feelings. It doesn't pause to let you catch your breath, and it doesn't reward the one who almost tried. It only responds to those who keep going, bleeding, sweating, believing, even when nothing makes sense. Stop chasing comfort. It's the enemy of greatness. The minute you choose easy, you reject excellence. The minute you prioritize feelings over future, you lose control of both. The relentless don't care if it hurts. They care if it works, and pain is just the toll to enter the arena. You have to want it when it's ugly, when the results are slow, when the progress is silent. That's the real test. Anyone can act motivated when it's working. But who are you when it's not? Who are you when nothing is clapping back? That's who wins. Most people quit too soon because they confuse silence with failure. Just because it's quiet doesn't mean it's not working. Your growth doesn't make noise. Your breakthrough doesn't show up with fireworks. It arrives silently, and only the relentless are there to catch it. Be allergic to excuses. Burn every plan B. Commit so hard that failure gets scared of you. That's the mindset. That's how champions are built. Not in public, but in the private moments where no one sees you, and you decide to keep going anyway. Relentless is a decision, not a gift, not a personality trait. A decision you make daily. And every time you choose persistence over pity, discipline over doubt, purpose over pressure, you become unstoppable, one brutal choice at a time. You weren't put here to be average. You weren't built to watch others win while you hesitate. You've got fire in your lungs and power in your hands, but it's useless if you don't move. The world doesn't need another dreamer. It needs a finisher, a fighter, someone who executes. Your comfort zone is a coffin, a silent killer dressed like safety. The longer you stay there, the more your potential rots. the more your instincts die. You weren't created to live soft. You were created to break through walls, not whisper behind them. You keep asking for motivation, but motivation isn't coming. You don't need a spark. You need a standard, a relentless, non-negotiable code. I move, no matter what. That's what breaks you free. Not hype, not vibes. Discipline, ruthless, daily discipline. This is about hunger, real hunger, the kind that doesn't take weekends off, the kind that doesn't cry about being misunderstood, the kind that's so locked in on the vision it forgets what doubt even feels like. That's the fuel. That's the edge. Most people live in reaction. They wait for permission, for praise, for signs, but the relentless don't wait. They move first. They show up first. They build the fire themselves and watch the world come running toward the smoke. Every time you delay, doubt gains ground. Every time you say tomorrow, momentum dies a little. Success doesn't belong to the hesitant. It belongs to the decisive. The ones who move fast fall hard and rise faster. The ones who treat time like fire, not water. You've got to stop negotiating with your weakness. Stop making peace with your limits. Weakness doesn't need your understanding. It needs your resistance. You don't overcome it by talking. You overcome it by moving, by doing, by grinding until it gives up on breaking you. Relentless. People don't need guarantees. They create their own. They don't wait for the path. They pave it. And if the door doesn't open, they don't knock again. They build a new one, stronger, louder, better. That's what separates them from the herd. The greatest threat to your success is your addiction to convenience, the desire to do just enough to be balanced. But balance is for people who don't want to lead. People who want to change their lives must be willing to tip the scales fully, forcefully, and with zero apology. If you really want this, prove it. Not with posts, not with promises, with action, daily, disciplined, disruptive action, until your habits scream louder than your words, until your results speak before you do. That's how the relentless move in silence, until they dominate. So ask yourself, are you doing what's easy or are you doing what's required? Are you surviving your days or are you sculpting your legacy? Because the moment you stop playing small and start acting like it's already yours, that's when everything changes. You keep waiting for the right moment, for the perfect plan, for the feeling to strike like lightning. But success doesn't show up when you feel ready. It shows up when you refuse to stay where you are. The relentless create momentum from nothing but decision. Your mind is your greatest weapon or your worst enemy. And every day it asks you one question. Are we moving forward or are we staying safe? If you keep choosing safe, you'll wake up one day and realize you were never tired. You were just soft. That's the truth. No one wants to say. You don't need motivation. You need confrontation. You need to look in the mirror and stop lying to yourself. Stop saying, I'm trying. Stop saying, I'll get to it. Either you're in or you're not. Either you're obsessed or you're playing. But don't confuse the two. They don't get the same outcome. The people who win, they're not always smarter. They're just ruthless about execution. They keep showing up when they're tired, when they're doubted, when no one's watching. That's what builds greatness. Not talent, tenacity. There's a version of you that doesn't flinch, doesn't stall, doesn't need external validation. That version is built through pain, through rejection, through repetition. And the more you move like them, the more that version becomes you. This is the part where most people tap out. The messy middle, the unseen valley, the quiet war. But this is where champions are born, not at the finish line, in the trenches, in the chaos, in the moments where only the relentless are still standing. You can't keep dipping your toe in the fire and expecting to get forged. You either burn for this or you don't. Half commitment is a slow death. It drains your soul while giving you nothing in return. Either go all in or stop pretending like you want it. Your goals don't care how long you've been trying. They only respond to how hard you're willing to fight. And if you think the world owes you success because you've been patient, you're already losing. The world pays the obsessed, the disciplined, the relentless. Pressure will come. Let it Pressure doesn't break the relentless, it builds them. It forces them to level up, to become sharper, clearer, deadlier. When others panic, they breathe. When others fold, they push. Pressure reveals who was real all along. There's no back door anymore. You've burned it. There's no turning around. This is it. And the only thing left is to rise, to keep showing up, to keep moving like your future is non-negotiable, because for the relentless, it is. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you win. Every time you show up when it would have been easier to quit, you win. And every time you move with fire while others sit in fear, you get one step closer to the version of you that owns it all. This isn't about talent anymore. That phase is over. This is about resilience, hunger, ruthless self-leadership. The world doesn't bend to your potential. It bends to your pressure, your consistency, your refusal to go away until the results have no choice but to arrive. You've tried being patient. Now try being powerful. You've tried waiting. Now try commanding. The relentless don't walk with permission. They walk with purpose. And purpose doesn't whisper. It roars, and it drags results out of thin air. You don't need 10 steps. You need one move. Move now. Move fast. Move like your future is depending on it, because it is. You've waited enough. You've thought enough. Now it's time to become. Stop pretending you're confused. You're not confused. You're cautious. You're calculating. You're hoping for a way without pain. But pain is part of the contract. Success will cost you your comfort, and you pay for it with your focus. If you've made it this far, drop a 100 in the comments. It shows you are part of the 1% that's improving every single day. It's not your job to be liked. It's your job to be undeniable, to walk into every room like your presence is a prophecy, to move so sharply, so focused, so deeply rooted in your calling that nothing can shake you. Not failure, not fear, not silence. Let the world misunderstand you. Let them doubt you. Let them talk. But while they're busy forming opinions, you'll be busy building an empire, because that's how the relentless move, quiet in the planning, loud in the result. You are not for everyone. That's a blessing, because the ones who do recognize your energy, they'll follow you, invest in you, rise with you, but only after you rise first. You don't need a crowd to start. You need commitment. You've come too far to be average now, too far to shrink, too far to fall back into small talk and safe goals. You've seen too much, grown too much. The old version of you can't even survive at the level you're heading into. Now it's about expansion, sharpening, ruthless upgrades. You don't settle at this stage, you refine. You polish the mindset. You strip the distractions. You eliminate everything that doesn't scream excellence. At this level, it's not about trying hard. It's about becoming precise, deliberate, efficient. You no longer chase energy. You protect it. You move differently. You talk less. You listen more, because your vision is louder than your voice. Relentlessness evolves. In the beginning, it's fire. Later, it becomes ice. Calm, focused, unshakable. It's not about proving anymore. It's about maintaining, sustaining the weight of what you've built without dropping your standards. And when fatigue creeps in, you don't crumble. You remember who you are, why you started, what it cost to get here. You carry that with honor, and you use it as fuel to take one more step, no matter how heavy it feels. You have to be honest, brutally honest about your life. Are your habits matching your dreams? Are your standards protecting your purpose? Or are you still negotiating with mediocrity, hoping you can win without sacrifice? The truth is simple. You won't rise by accident. You rise by force, by pressure, by discipline that feels like war. The life you want isn't hiding, it's guarded, and the price to enter. Relentless effort when no one's clapping for you. People say they want freedom, but freedom isn't free. It's earned through obedience to your own standard. Not rules, standards. You build them, you enforce them, and when they hurt, you keep them. You don't get to call yourself relentless if you only move when it's easy. You earn that title in the cold, in the silence, in the dark mornings when nothing makes sense, but you still rise. You still go, you still grind. At this level, progress is invisible. Results are delayed. But that's where the gap is. That's where most people tap out, and that's where you take over. Not because you're better, because you refuse to stop. The ones who win didn't stut always know they would win. But they made a decision: I will either succeed or I will outlast everyone who didn't stut. You used to chase validation. Now you chase execution. You used to fear rejection. Now you reject fear. This is the evolution of the relentless. The transformation of someone who no longer needs the world to believe in them because they believe in themselves on a cellular level. Success isn't about luck. It's about leverage. Turning every loss into fuel. Turning every failure into strategy. Every moment of pain becomes part of the process. You don't run from it. You use it. You know who wins? The ones who stopped needing to feel like it and just did it anyway. Who stopped counting hours and started counting impact. Who stopped watching others succeed and finally said, I sitman done watching. It sits my turn. At this level, everything is intentional. The way you move, the way you speak, the way you rest, everything feeds the mission. You don't get distracted, you get dialed in. That's the difference between being interested and being unavailable for anything less than greatness. You were never supposed to be normal. You were built for domination. And the only reason it hasn't shown up yet is because this version of you was still under construction. Now you know what it takes. No more secrets, no more hype, just war. War against comfort. War against hesitation. War against the quiet voice that keeps telling you to slow down. That voice dies today. You've built yourself in silence. You've endured what would have broken others. And now it's time to collect. To step into the reward phase, not because it's guaranteed, but because you've earned it with scars and grit and daily fire. The difference between average and relentless is simple. One stops when it hurts, the other starts. And if you're still here, if you're still watching, then you are not average. You are cut from something rare. This isn't a phase. This is who you are now. A builder, a finisher. A machine that doesn't shut down when it's tired, but when it's done, you don't take days off, you take territory.